Hey there, Jacks fans. Jason Ruff here for another edition of The New Normal. I am pleased to be joined by Jackalopes' new head coach, Jason Fortier. Coach Fortier, pleasure to see you again. It looks like you're doing quite well up in the Sioux. How have things been for you this offseason thus far?
It's definitely been an interesting time. I think, and that's just for the world itself. The world we live in is changing, and there's definitely been some changes in my life that we have to focus and prioritize, especially when you're around family. But we're making sure we're staying healthy here and we're distancing ourselves. So today's going to be the first time I head into the city after for a while, and got my mask, so that'll be a little thing that it's mandatory now. You got to wear a mask, and the hockey's the hockey. The hockey's a refresher. It's something that takes your mind off whatever else is going on around us here. We at least have something to look forward to.
Absolutely. And before I get into everything the Jackalopes are doing as we lead up, hopefully, to the start of the season, I want to go back to April when you were announced as the new head coach of the Odessa Jackalopes. What was that hiring process like? When were you first approached about coming down to Odessa, and what was it about Odessa that made you want to decide to come down here?
Well, I guess that's going to take a long-winded answer, but I'll try and shorten it. And Lord knows I suffocate enough oxygen in the room here. But what I would have to say is, having traveled through various NAHL rinks a few years back with a friend of mine who was interested in purchasing a hockey club, we had traveled and scouted players and just basically gone through different venues from the east, the south, the north, and I actually went through Odessa to watch a game, and I was pretty blown away at how nice the city is. And I'm a pretty big country fan. Right now I live out on the water, and I don't really get into the town for too much, so that was an attraction. Another part of the recruiting, I guess, coming here was just speaking to management. Started with Tim Christian. He was he's director of player personnel. Reached out, spoke to me. It was aware that I wasn't going to be returning to BC, and it was just something that, whether it's an arrogant thing or whether it's hopefuls and dreaming and whatnot, but Odessa's never won a championship, so that's something that I want to be able to bring a championship there, and to be able to do something that nobody's done yet. There's not very many things you can do left in the world that nobody else has done, so that's something that was intriguing. Seeing the roster they had and knowing that it's going to be a rebuild, that it's something I've done. I've been confident doing that. And speaking with management, kind of giving me the full reins of, what it is to build the culture, what I'm trying to do in regards to how we're going to rebuild the program, not just for the immediate future, but for the years down the road. And having somewhere that, I would like to stay and be part of the community. That's a big part of what I choose when I go coach somewhere. And Odessa is a town that I think I'd fit in pretty well.
And Lord knows Odessa deserves a winner. It's been, like you said, the Jackalopes have never won a NAHL championship. They have not even gotten out of the first round of the North American Hockey League playoffs. So with any luck, hopefully those things will change under your leadership. I know a lot of fans are curious about this, and I think, to be honest, I'm a little curious as well. What is your vision for the Odessa Jackalopes program, both the near and in the long term?
Well, I think in the near, what we're trying to do is we're trying to plug some holes. We're trying to find like-minded individuals to come into this program that want to achieve something as a group, that still want to go on to college. And we're trying to basically build something immediately that's going to add some consistency to our game. Players that are going to represent us, not just for this year, 10 years down the road. They're going to be allies when we're recruiting, whether they're in the professional industry, whether they're playing hockey. So we're looking for players that are going to have that fit. And I think what we've done so far, we're building at least parts of that we have a chance to be pretty competitive. We're cautiously optimistic right now. We have a real good core. I think that, give or take, there could be something special brewing. And then the long term is just, it started with Tim Christian and the staff last season, where him and Adam and the other powers that be were, trading away players for the last 2 years. It hasn't been overly successful. You're recovering assets such as draft picks. You're recovering tenders. So we're set up very well for the future in that regard. And I think with having a full year under my belt in that league and understanding, different recruiting pools that I've been in various areas in Canada and some in the U.S. Now I got to shift my attention to become a little bit more dominant in the U.S. And it's something achievable and it's attainable for what we're going to do. So that's going to be a focus. So I think with that in mind, the type of players we're looking for are, going to be the type of players that are elite, that are passionate, that want to get better, that are coachable. It's a mission of mine to build a hockey club with like-minded individuals. I'm not going to be looking for different players that maybe don't want to buy in, don't want to play in a system, don't want to be coached. So it's part of the recruiting process where you go through that channel and the interviews and the Zoom calls now per se, and you're going over video with potential recruits. So I'm really optimistic with the staff we have and the group around us that, over the next 2-3 years, that there's something special coming to Odessa, and I believe that in my heart.
Speaking of the type of players that you and your staff are looking after, looking at a bunch of the tenders and the draft picks, both in the supplemental draft and now most recently the North American Hockey League entry draft, you have a lot of guys coming in potentially that have some BCHL experience, British Columbia Hockey League. Obviously, you're very familiar with that league, had a lot of success there. What kind of player does the BCHL tend to produce?
I think it's just every league produces different things, but for the most part, it's just quality of player. So we're gambling on, some stuff that we're going to recruit guys away from various leagues and whatnot. The way we've gone about it is we've tendered and drafted players that were 18 and older. We don't have a 17-year-old that's on our board. We don't have a 16-year-old. We've predominantly stuck with the 18, and there's a few reasons for that. And it's not to say in the future we won't. But with a 17-year-old and they're still in high school, they have challenges that they have to meet their academic requirements. They're youthful and they're young, so they still have to, mature to that point. And I think with what we're trying to build a physical team with skill immediately, there's not a ton of ice time available for, that really young guy that might struggle with the physicality. So it's kind of, we're making a decision to go with the 18 and older philosophy, allow players to already have their high school completed, so they can focus 100% on the program. But there will be some young guys in the future, and there could be some when the season begins. But it's just that was where we're looking at. And the BCHL, for instance, some of those kids already committed to Division I hockey. So we're looking to recruit the best talent we can. Now, if some of those guys decide that they want to join us, that's a plus for us. We're adding assets that potentially may not be here when the season starts, but we also added guys that will be coming. So it's a mix. We didn't want to gamble on everyone, but we gambled on a few. So like I said, it's just a matter of the talented player coming out of whatever league, whether it's the NAHL, BCHL, Ontario, USHL. You got to really know the individual.
Most recently concluded your first North American Hockey League draft. You had 9 total draft picks, 8 if you discount Garrett Wilderman, who was with the Jackalopes last season. Among them, 5 NCAA college commits. Was that a strategy that you and your staff wanted to do? You want to specifically look at trying to pick off a couple of kids who had college commitments and try to get them down to Odessa?
Yeah, and I think a part of that is the relationships I've built with some of the college coaches, just, having their trust, knowing that if we were to take one of their players, they would have the trust in that we would develop them and prepare them for, the next season or the next 2 years, whenever he is to attend college. Mm-hmm. I wanted to work off my track record of what I've been able to do over the past little while. And, and I think by part of that is you're also bringing in some guys that are internally driven. They've got that scholarship, so they know every day they're trying to get better, and that's kind of our message. We're trying to get you better every day, and if they can do that, then they'll prepare themselves for college. Whether or not they all attend our team and start playing, that's to be told down the future. But we're going to recruit the guys we feel give us the best chance to become successful. We interview these kids, we do background checks. We find out about the family, about their person, who they are, what their likes are. And it doesn't mean we're not going to make mistakes. It doesn't mean we're not going to have a recruiting blunder here and there, but we are so optimistic of the work we put in. And, you know, as a staff, just, you know, we've communicated, you know, Adam, myself, Poper, he's been a part of some talks, Timmy. It's just the amount of communication we've been able to do because of maybe there's a negative of drawback of COVID, but we've had a lot of time to talk, watch video, analyze that. Again, it's one thing to get the draft over with. It's another thing to have those jitters and that excitement. It was a pretty awesome day yesterday. We enjoyed it.
And of course, obviously helped out by the fact that the Jackalopes had the second overall pick in the North American Hockey League draft. You guys took Evan Orr, defenseman out of Shelby Township, Michigan, outside of Detroit, commit to Michigan Tech University. Tell us a little bit about Evan Orr and what you hope he brings to the table as an Odessa Jackalope.
Well, I've liked Evan for a couple of years, actually. I was trying to recruit him to BC when he was in the NAHL with Wilkes-Barre. Very elite skater, great defender, got a good head on his shoulders, plays physical, can jump in from the back end and add to the rush. You know, having him played in the BCHL, you know, there's still some uncertainty. You know, we've talked to him, and I think we have a pretty good relationship with his school that, you know, he's still going to be looking to maybe play in the USHL, but I think we're an option that, you know, given the style of play that we're hoping to play, and he can really fit in and be a huge impact with this club. So we're optimistic that if things don't work out for him in the USHL, that he'll be joining the Odessa Jackalopes.
Another thing to be optimistic about, at least in my opinion, is your staff, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Nate Skidmore, who will be joining your staff along with Coach Adam Phillips as an assistant and goaltender assistant. Tell us a little bit about your relationship with Nate and how you two kind of met each other and how you kind of determined that he'd be a good addition to the Jackalope staff.
Well, talking to Nate was kind of bizarre because I coached him probably 8-9 years ago in a spring hockey tournament in Boston, and he was a goalie we were recruiting. He was 19, and we were looking to acquire him from another junior A team. And his other option was he might attend college rather than play out his final year junior. So it was a brief encounter. He played for us. We had a really good tournament. It was just he performed extremely well. He eventually went to Potsdam and decided to forego his last year junior. And, you know, I never talked to him since. And then I got a call from RPI. So he spent the past season with RPI NCAA Division I hockey program as their goalie coach, video coach. And their coach called and recommended him. You know, we went down the process of the interview and had a few other candidates that I spoke with. But given for what I'm looking for with having a guy that can, you know, work with the goalies from, you know, a recent goalie standpoint, having a guy that understands all the video aspects of hockey and, you know, how to work with whatever video system we're doing, because we're going to be a heavily videotape type hockey club where we do a lot of one-on-one with players and go over that. So that was a need that I felt we could improve upon. And, you know, he's a really personable guy who's driven. He's already got his master's. He's focused. He knows what he wants. He's chasing a dream. I've said it many times. I like to surround myself with dreamers. I think he's going to be a pretty good fit.
That's wonderful. And I think that rounds out an excellent staff with you at the head, with Nate Skidmore, and, of course, assistant coach Adam Phillips still on staff after the season that he had, keeping the Jackalopes afloat and gradually building them up over the course of the remainder of last season. Coach Fortier, one last question before I let you go. I know you're a big fisherman out on the Great Lakes, living by the Sioux. I got to ask, when you're out fishing on the Great Lakes, what's your favorite type of fish to catch?
Well, that's a good question. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not a great fisherman, so I've not caught a lot out here. So usually my DNA that we fish up here, predominantly we love to say pickerel and walleye type, but really pike and bass are the two fish that really resonate with what I'm doing. And sometimes we get in the odd perch, but like I said, I am definitely not a great fisherman. I like to do it more so for the country music in the background and maybe a little bit of serenity and looking at the different things. But I can tell you, I've lost more fish than I caught this year.
Well, hopefully we'll bring you, I guess, down from where Sault Ste. Marie is, down to South Haven where my parents are. We'll take you out fishing for some nice lake salmon out on Lake Michigan.
Yeah, you know what? That'd be fantastic. I've caught a few salmon as well in my time.
Coach Fortier, thank you so much for your time. Jackalopes getting ready for main camp and eventually training camp. I know you have a lot of work ahead of you. We're looking forward to getting you down here in Odessa very, very soon. Until then, we look forward to seeing you, and thanks again for your time. Best of luck as we move forward.
Go Jacks.